Hello, everyone. I'm Mike Sheffer, the Director of Education for the FoolProof Foundation. Welcome to Directions Credit Union's professional development on how to implement FoolProof into your middle school and high school curriculums. FoolProof is designed to be used either in the classroom or remotely, and we're going to go through some of the steps in the process of implementing, like I said, FoolProof into your classrooms. During this recorded PD, if questions arise at any time, please just email me at mike@foolproofhq.com, and I'd be more than happy to help you in the process. So we're going to switch screens a little bit. We're going to do a little PowerPoint presentation. This professional development will last right around 20 to 30 minutes. We're going to explain how to use FoolProof in your classroom, and then of course some of the back-end benefits of FoolProof when you become a FoolProof teacher. So we're just going to share the screen to a quick little PowerPoint for FoolProof. Sorry. The agenda for today is an introduction of FoolProof, how FoolProof is free, and we are sponsored by Directions Credit Union in the state of Ohio. You can access FoolProof by going through Directions website at directionscu.org. FoolProof aligns 100% to the Ohio Personal Finance Standards. We're going to talk about how you register for FoolProof and how you implement it into your classroom. And usually these webinars are live, but since this is a recorded version, again, we'll just go through the process of you emailing me directly with your questions after viewing. So like I said, you can go to your website of directionscu.org to go ahead and access FoolProof. FoolProof's a little bit different than any other financial literacy curriculum. We're going to teach your students self-defense skills, consumer self-defense skills. We're going to go through the process of trying to have the consumers from being injured financially because of their lack of financial knowledge or lack of critical thinking skills. FoolProof relies on the process of teaching your students to be a healthy skeptic, to rely on research, and we're trying to enhance their critical thinking skills when it comes to personal finance and decisions they make in their life. We're true consumer advocates. We're not marketers. FoolProof doesn't give advice based on selling anything. We're not bound by anyone's money. FoolProof has the ability to tell the truth and give your students the unbiased information they need to make good, solid financial decisions. Just to give you an idea of how FoolProof is impacting students in Ohio, since our partnership with Directions Credit Union in 2013, you can see how the numbers have significantly increased over the years of students using FoolProof. We are now, the total students that are using FoolProof in the state of Ohio are over 28,000, over 1,000 teachers, and over 588 schools in Ohio. With the process of going back to school this fall with COVID-19, FoolProof has come up with a plan for schools as they try to embrace this, how we're going to teach and where we're going to teach. We call it FoolProof Anywhere. We have, it is on FoolProof. As you become a FoolProof teacher, you'll have the access to this, and we'll do that live here in a minute. But we've broken it down into three models. The first model is teacher directed. You're going to have FoolProof in your classroom. You'll have your students in your classroom. It'll be teacher directed. Students register in class. You'll use the FoolProof modules, assignments, and activities, whichever ones you want to use. And it would be that almost the standard learning that we've done prior to COVID-19. Model 2 is a hybrid. You're going to use FoolProof in and out of the classroom. Since FoolProof is 100% free and it is online, students can access their accounts from any internet connection. You can continue the process of them using FoolProof outside of the classroom. And of course, you can use the modules assignments. The only thing that we suggest is when you're using outside the classroom, you won't want to use the class activities because they're hard to implement in that process. And then the third model is a remote class. So what's happened is your students haven't come back to school. They've decided that they're not going to come back, or your school has taken a break, or you're going to start remotely. FoolProof can be created by the teacher in the classroom, and they send the class code to the students, and the students register themselves outside the classroom. We have quick start guides for the teacher and quick start guides for the students. They're on the Directions Credit Union site. And of course, everything being a digital curriculum, all those guides are listed on our website as well. So the data of FoolProof, and we're just going to go through this quickly. In FoolProof for high schools, we have 18 modules. 16 of the modules have pre and post test. The data of the standard learning objective for the students' gaining of knowledge on the subject matter for the process of the 2019-2020 school year was 32.7%. So how that is measured is the pre-tests are giving in the first few slides of the digital curriculum before the teaching of that module is done. And then at the end of the module, the students are giving a module test, and they're all randomized questions out of the test bank. And then the comparison on the back end of FoolProof, since we grade all your exams, you're able to see, and I'll show this in a minute, the beginning, the pre-test score, the module score, the post-test score, and then of course the increase in, or decrease in standard learning objective. So over, the students that used FoolProof in the 2019-2020 school year, 32.7% were increased their knowledge by that percentage. Our credibility of FoolProof is well known. We're the only financial literacy program endorsed by the 4 major consumer groups. We partner with Jumpstart. We're a national partner with Jumpstart. We present all over the country at Jumpstart state conferences, and we were a featured speaker at Jumpstart National last year. To kind of give you a little bit of what FoolProof can do for you in your classroom, everything is web-driven, everything is interactive. It's peer-to-peer teaching. The young people are in the modules. The modules are broken down, like I said, into 18 parts. Each module has a specific learning. Would it be credit? Would it be savings? Would it be budgeting? Would it be a relationship with a financial institution? And inside those modules are short videos that are peer-to-peer. At the beginning of FoolProof, we came up with the conclusion that students would much rather be talked at than talked to. We put that into our module base with the idea that our young people can be talked to by young people. And what happens in that situation is they feel that connection, and they also get that idea they're being talked to. And of course, those videos, the average attention span of a high school student on a device is anywhere from 45 to 60 seconds video based. The videos are 45 seconds long, and they enhance the teaching that's in the modules. FoolProof for high schools has 18 modules. 16 have pre and post test, 2 are guided practice. They take anywhere from 45 to 60 minutes start to finish. If you're using FoolProof for high schools modules only supplemental in your classroom, it would take right around in a 45 to 50 minute schedule, up to 60-minute schedule, depends on how your school is set up. It would take right about 2.5 weeks of instruction. A lot of teachers use FoolProof on Fridays. They call it FoolProof Fridays. And that is every Friday FoolProof would be used, and they would stretch that over the 20-week course. It fits exactly into that time frame. FoolProof also has a suite of activities and assignments available for the teacher to use. So if you're teaching a half semester class of personal finance, you could use FoolProof as your interactive textbook by using the modules, the assignments, and activities. The core modules in FoolProof are broken down into all the aspects of personal finance. We use these kind of catchy titles for your students so they kind of lock into it. You have to understand, you're talking to anywhere from 15 to 18 years old in FoolProof for high schools. And here's our supplemental modules, and we'll go through those in a minute. FoolProof for middle schools is a little bit shorter version of FoolProof. The same bells and whistles for the teacher on the back end, how to register your class, all the things we'll go through. There are key 9 key modules to this. They're 20 minutes long and they cover over 20 topics. So technically, they're 20 minutes each with their exam. Usually, it takes the students as they register and get started about 30 minutes per module. So that takes about 9 class periods. It does more than just teach the financial literacy, personal finance part of what a credit card is and what a debit card is, but how they are involved in the society today economically. What is their place in that? The idea that they are involved more than they think in middle school because of their use of technology, who they can trust, know when people are working you. By that, I mean who's trying to separate you from your money, the idea of opportunity costs, the difference between needs and wants in that process. We're very pleased with this curriculum, and its usage has been widespread across the country. A lot in family consumer science, in social studies in a civics class, and the finance part of curriculums in the process of CTE. So the things that we can do for you in FoolProof, we're going to grade all your tests. Of course, they're all randomized. Each student will get a different question out of the test bank. There's pre and post tests that we talked about. We're going to show you how you can track your students' progress. It's a real nice feature that you can track them if they're in your classroom or remotely. You can lock the modules and tests and release those at any time if you wanted, or you can just have your students roll in a turnkey fashion. We're going to show you how to customize your curriculum in this professional development. As your students finish the module and successfully pass the test, the standard is checked off in the state of Ohio, so you can prove that the student has received this information. You can export your data into your school's class grade book, retest the test function. We'll talk about that, how important that is, and of course the easy sign up for students, and we'll demo that moving forward. You can follow FoolProof on Twitter and Facebook. Those are our accounts. And of course, my information is there, Mike at foolproofhq.com. And you can follow us, like I said, on social media. But once you're a FoolProof teacher, we send everything to you, all of our updates. We don't integrate you with a bunch of emails and different things. We know you're busy, so about every couple of times a month, we will send you emails to give you the updates on FoolProof and to kind of check in with you. So here's the site for Education's Credit Union. This is just a screenshot of it. What we're going to do is we're going to go live now to their website. So if you have a device at home, if you want to go through it, I can help you set up a class. Sometimes it's nice to kind of go through it with me as you go. But again, being a recorded professional development, this is going to be posted on Directions Credit Union's website, so you'll be able to access it at any time. And again, being a digital curriculum, we have all these guides for you online. So we're going to go to Directions website. And there it is. Okay, it's just directionscu.org, and this is the main page, and I'm going to walk you through now this process. We're going to show you how to register to be a FoolProof teacher. We're going to assume then you become a FoolProof teacher. We're going to go in, we're going to log in, we're going to create a curriculum, we're going to create a class, we're going to show you what your students see, and hopefully this gives you a little bit of a guide of how our program works. So all you do is click on Learn, go down to Tools and Education, click on the FoolProof logo, visit this site. And from here, it'll take you to our site. It's going to ask you if you want to continue. This is going to be our site of FoolProof. You hit continue. And here you are on our website. This is what we've done for Directions Credit Union. This is their custom link to FoolProof. As you can see, as you scroll down here, there's a tremendous amount of information for you as an educator and anyone that if your children are going to buy a car, we have a car buying guide. If they're going to go purchase their first home, all these things that are involved in living life and making good, sound decisions financially, we follow the same process that we do with our middle school and high school students, for our adults, we talk about being a healthy skeptic, to rely on research, to have good critical thinking skills. So I just want to show you this. I'm just scrolling down all the things that we have to offer that are on this FoolProof site, sponsored by Directions Credit Union. And everything you need is here to be able to make those decisions with the process of, relying on research. And again, FoolProof isn't bound by anyone's money, so we're going to tell the truth. We're going to give you the unbiased research on the topic that you're looking for. Okay, so if you click to education, this is where we're going to go with your students. And the first thing you do, and your students will go through this site as well, but we have to get you registered. You just go to login. You go to the FoolProof Academy. You click on teacher login. And if you're not a FoolProof teacher and you haven't created an account yet, you have to click on this icon that says request access here. This is the form that you need to fill out. We ask you, your school address, your city and state. And then, of course, we're going to ask for 2 email addresses. One's your school email address, one's your personal email address. We only use your school email address, but if it's blocked the first time, inside of 24 hours, we're going to send you a username and password that makes you a FoolProof teacher. So we have to vet you to make sure that you are that FoolProof teacher, not someone, a student trying to get access to the back end of FoolProof with all the tests and everything else. That would not be good. So we're going to vet you inside of 24 hours. Once you get your, move this up a little bit. Once you get your username and password, you would follow the same process. You would go to Directions Credit Union or directionscu.org. You would go to log in and you would go to teacher login. So the username and password we give you, and I'm going to use my own, you would enter here. Once you do that, you have become a FoolProof teacher. So you can see this is the back end of FoolProof. This is everything that we have in our curriculum. And again, when we talked about it, we have your quick start guides. If you want to give those to your student, or Directions Credit Union will have those on their site as well. You have the quick start guide for you as a teacher to remember some of the things that we're talking about. This page has all the information that we will send to all FoolProof teachers. We'll put it on the back end of this page, but you can see that we have our whole process of all the new updates we have to FoolProof this year. We do a summer update, and we listen to the teachers. We ask for their suggestions. They send it in. We'll take a look at it as a team. We'll decide which ones that we're going to put into the new updated FoolProof that happens once a year. We also have the ability to make updates as we go, which gives us that type of flexibility that I think that makes us kind of integrated to what you're doing. Remember we talked about FoolProof Anywhere? There's the plan for you to how to use FoolProof in those 3 modules or 3 models that we talked about earlier in the PowerPoint presentation. So everything you have, everything you need is here. If you go to your account and click on the icon for account, we're going to want you to change just your password. You can keep the password that we give you, but it's going to be random. So sometimes you want to do a password that you're going to remember that's a little bit more specific to you. Again, protect these passwords. We don't want the students at the back end of FoolProof. If there's anything for as you sign in, if you want to change your email address, if they change, we had a big county in Florida where they changed the entire server and email. All the teachers were worried that they would lose all the contact with FoolProof. We just did a quick video for them to show them how to change your personal details so they're all set. And of course, if you ever change your school, it's fine. You're still a FoolProof teacher. We're just going to have you put in your new school district and we'll formulate everything there for you. So that's your account. We have a support page. Frequently asked questions, all the guides we have. Of course, we have teaching tips, how to get started, in the process of everything that helps if you have a question. Of course, if you ever have a question that you can't seem to answer, you just reach out to me, Mike at foolproofhq.com. All right, so we go back to the home page for FoolProof. We're going to set up your curriculum, and it's a very simple process. After you take a look at FoolProof and you decide, do you want to use the modules, you want to use the assignments, you want to use the activities, however you want to do it, you're going to set up a curriculum that so your students never have to guess what they have to do. You're going to set the curriculum, and that's what your students are going to see. So for instance, if we're going to go to the middle school, we go to the middle school curriculum, everything is there for you. So you should always take a look at the modules, take a look at the core messages. Everything is there. You should never put anything in your classroom that you haven't vetted. So we want you to take a look at FoolProof, and we want you to see what we can offer. Let's say you decided now that you like what you see here. You're going to go to create a curriculum. You're going to go to the middle school, and you've decided that you're going to use all 9 of the modules. You just hit check all, and then we would name your curriculum. So let's say we just name that curriculum middle school. Say it's civics, and it's for we'll go fall 2020. So all your students then you'd already create your curriculum, and you can decide how to use it from there. And you just hit save, and you can see I've created a lot of curriculums in these webinars and professional developments, but you can see that the middle school curriculum is right there, MS Civics Fall 2020. Well, let's take a look at, because we're going to go through the whole process of creating a high school curriculum, and we're going to do it modules only. But we're going to go through, we're going to create a curriculum. You're going to be able to view everything. Like we said, never put anything in your classroom that you don't vet. So take a look at it. Well, for the saving of time, we're going to go right to creating a curriculum. We're going to go to high school, and you have reviewed us, and you've decided you want to use the modules. You like all the modules. You're going to implement FoolProof Friday. So every Friday you're going to use FoolProof, okay? Or you're going to do it for 2.5 weeks during your econ class. If you're going to use FoolProof in your personal finance class and you want to use all of our curriculum, all you do is check them off. It's done the exact same way. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to check all the modules. We're going to name this class, and this is the curriculum that, let's say you have 3 classes you're going to use this in. We're going to name the curriculum FinLit High School Fall 2020. Okay, so we're going to name it that, so it'll be there for us. And these, again, all are the activities, assignments, but we're just going to do the modules. So this curriculum has been created, and you can see it. It says FinLit High School Fall 2020. It's number 2 on the screen. That curriculum is done. So now we have to create your class, because we have to have your students, formulate into your class. We just go to classes. Okay, and you don't have any classes, but you can see I have a bunch of classes. These are the ones that I've been using in my professional developments. But we're going to set up a new class for you. We're going to click on Set Up a New Class, and we're going to be real specific on what we name these, because this is going to be the class that your students will enter. So let's say you're going to have a personal finance class. We're going to call it PF, and you get your schedule, and you want to do it. You have it period 8. And the grade is going to be an 11-12 mix, makes it easy. Now remember, this is your class, not your curriculum. You're going to select a curriculum, and we created the curriculum that was called FinLit High School Fall 2020. So FinLit High School Fall 2020, it's all the way down here on the bottom. You check that. So this means that all your students, let's say you have 3 sections of this, all your students would receive the same curriculum. So you're not creating curriculums for each class. If they're the same class, you just have them all doing the same work. And you're going to select your standard. So you're going to select the state of Ohio right there. And this is a cool function, and I talked about it earlier. When your students complete the modules and successfully pass the test, the standard is checked off. So your students you'll be able to show that your students have met those standards in the state of Ohio. Here's kind of a cool function too. This is a function that you can leave your class notes. So every time they sign in, they will see the note that you left. Now think how important this is when you're remote, when you don't have that daily in-person contact with your students. So today's the 27th, so I always date the notes. And let's say they're starting FoolProof in a couple of days. You could just put welcome to FoolProof, give some instructions, And then let's say a week later, you want to remind them that they have to have certain modules done. You could just put in there 9/2, which is September 2nd, and put a note there. I always leave the dates in because what it helps keep track if a student enters your class late, or if the student isn't in the Zoom call that day, or they're not, it's always there for them. So they can't say, well, I didn't see that. They can't erase it. So technically you'll have that kind of log of what you've sent them. All right, let's go down through to finish setting up your class. Smartboard class, this is used when you're in person with your students and you're using FoolProof as an interactive textbook. So here's an example. Your kids are in your class. You have to sign out the laptop cart. You only can get it a certain amount of days per week, but you want to use our curriculum as your interactive textbook. You can set your class up that you will view it on the screen with your students. But when it comes to the exams, they would log in and they would take the exams, and we would show you the standard learning objective and all those things, all the data, and we'd grade them for you. But at this point, I'm going to keep this as no, because I do believe that you're going to have some in-person students and some remote students, so you're going to want them on their own devices. Select grading method. This is kind of cool. This is one of the new things that we talked about. We're going to check this as the highest grade, and here's what this means. If you set a passing grade at 70 and the students receive a 65, we're going to allow them to take the test again. They can go back and do the module. They can study their notes. They can do all those great things. But the idea is we really don't want them to fail in their personal finance. So these test questions are randomized. So we give them other different questions to take when they retake their test. But the students are always going to want the highest grade. So if you want it to last attempt, that's fine. You can set that. Most teachers put it at the highest grade. So when the student finishes and they move on to the next module, let's say they took the exam 3 times, it'll formulate their highest grade into their account. Auto test, I'm going to put yes here, especially now that if a student doesn't meet the requirement, they can automatically take the test again. You don't have to reset it. If you want control over that, you want to make sure you check no. I like 2 times or 3 times. I'm going to set it to 3 just to show that you can do it that way. We always give the students a chance to review the test. I think there's a learning process there when they can see what they've did wrong. On the other hand, if they're remote, they're going to have to do it on their own, so you don't have to do it for them. So you can set this anywhere from 65 to 100. We have it set at 70 in the default. Let's put it on 65 just so you have that situation. You can always make that change going forward, but just remember, once you set it, any student that takes the test prior to you changing the requirement of the pass grade, that one's going to stay. So the process is if you decide that you put it at 80 and then you said, wow, I don't really want that, I want to move it to 70, any of those students prior to that, they'll get the credit for it, but that grade is going to stay until the change has occurred. All right, so we're just going to hit submit here. I'm going to talk about the account type here in a minute. There is a special education version of FoolProof. Most classes will not have students with accommodations fully in their class. They're going to be entered into their class, so you may have 4 or 5. I'm going to show you how you can set the students' version of FoolProof to special education here in a minute. So we're going to hit submit. Right here is very important. This right here. This is the code. This is your class code that you will give to your students, and this is how they would register. C59MU4V. Now, you can edit your class at any time. You can edit your curriculum. You can't break this program. So you can go in and edit. You can make your changes. You can do whatever you want. But once you give your students a code, all they have to do is log in using that code one time. They create their username and password, and they're in your class. So I'm actually going to sign out of my account. I'm going to show you how your students are going to see it. Okay, and then that's how we'll end it. But I just want to show you some of the track the progress test scores and all that before we sign out as a teacher. Let me show you a demo class I created. So here's a demo class. This is just 5 students in the class. This is what you will see. But if you want to check the progress of your students, all you have to do is you could check the progress individually. I like to check it as a class. You can see that nothing was done in the middle school. The curriculum was not created to take the middle school out. When you see your students, if you're a high school teacher, you will only see the things that you chose. I'll just cursor for you. So that green box means they've completed the module and they successfully have passed the test. You can see that Martina here in module 6 has a 99% percentage. She hasn't finished the module yet. So she has 1 slide left, 2 slides left, maybe the test left. But in the process, as you can see, take a look at Lupta here. In module 18, she's got the green and the red. That means she's completed the module, but she has not successfully completed the test and the score you have passed. So you can check your students' progress. Green means they're done. The percentage means they still have some to do. The green-red block means they finished the module, but they haven't successfully passed the test. When we talked about standard learning objective, this is what I'm talking about as we go through into grades. So here's the grades. And take a look how cool this is. So Martina got 40% on her pre-test in module 1. She got 80% in her post-test. Her standard learning objective is 41%. We give you 3 data points: pre, post, increase or decrease in standard learning objective. The cool thing is we do it all the way across, and there it is for her final grade. So as far as she has completed, and she's not done yet, but in the modules, you can see she's 65% pre, 79% post, 19% standard learning objective. Now, remember I talked about how to check individually. We go back to students. We go to Martina. This is Martina's account, okay? So Martina is in your class, and she has accommodations. You can make Martina's account the special education version of FoolProof individually. No one will know. Martina won't even know. But in the process, it meets the guidelines under special education. And then you can look at all of Martina's activities. You can see the grades of Martina individually by clicking on that. And here's what we were talking about, the standards. So in Martina, she hasn't met those standards yet because they're in different order, but the check mark means an informed consumer. She's met all those standards in that Ohio personal finance standard. All right. Now, there's a ton of information on FoolProof Teacher. Take a look at it. You can't break it. Play around with it. If you have certain questions, you just reach out to me and I'll help you. But I want to show you what your students see. So I'm going to sign out, and I'm actually going to go all the way out. Okay. And I'm going to go to screen share. Okay. And hang on a minute. I'm just going to do this real quick. Make sure we have it here. I'm just going to stop it for a minute. Go back to screen share. There it is. So we're going to go to the learn part, like we talked about. You'll go to learn. You'll go to tools and education. Your students will go to log in. It's catching up here. Cursor down to FoolProof. Go to our site. Go to log in. And they're going to go to student login. So it's going to ask them if it's their first time here, and it is since you created your account. And you remember the code that we created it was that C59. C59. Your students will just put that in. MU4V. Just let me check to make sure I have it. C59 MU4V. You hit submit. If we did everything right, again, I created the class. This would be your name here. It's Mike Sheffer, your teacher. And all your students have to do is go first name, last name, username, and password. Now, we take no information from your students. Just they have to create their own account. So a couple of things you want to just keep in mind with your students. FoolProof has, hundreds of thousands, close to 1 million users of FoolProof. So if your student's name is Bill Smith, there's probably a Bill Smith that's already used it. So if it doesn't accept their username and password, what we ask you to do is just have Bill go, and if his middle name is, Michael, or, he could go Michael Smith. Or if it's, he could create a username that's significant to him and he remembers it, that's fine. And then his password. So once they hit register, they'll automatically be sent to your class. So if a student says, I can't get into your class, it's probably that factor that their username or password has already been used. Okay, that's how simple it is for your students to register. So when we talked about the whole process of using FoolProof remotely and how easy it is for you to use it, all you have to do is send your students the class code and they're involved in your class. So that kind of wraps up the professional development on FoolProof of who we are and the sponsorship from Directions Credit Union. Again, please reach out to anyone at Directions Credit Union if you have any questions or issues registering your class, or please feel free to reach out to me at mike@foolproofhq.com. Thanks for using FoolProof. Again, being an online digital curriculum, it gives you the ability to use us in class and out of class, and a lot of advantages to that. So thanks again for Directions Credit Union for the sponsorship and for FoolProof in the state of Ohio. And again, be safe, be healthy, and good luck in this school year.